Guys, I'm Steve. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't regret it. You're a returning subscriber as always, guys. Welcome back, and I do appreciate the support. Now, today's story, or tonight's story, takes us to Aurora, Colorado. Shout out, Aurora. I've been slipping on my shout outs lately, so I apologize if I didn't shout you out, my listeners. But anyway, check it out. 2 months ago, or around that time, there was a viral video that showed a bunch of masked men, they say were part of Trendy Aragua gang out there in Colorado trying to kick a door in with weapons in their hand and masks on their face and so on and so forth. Well, that same complex, which is getting shut down in January, made the news again. Why? Because now 15 people were arrested because of a home invasion in which they ran in one apartment, right? Grabbed a couple, took them out the apartment to a vacant apartment, and beat and tortured them for some time before letting them go. I'm gonna let you take a look at this story, and we're gonna come back and talk about it.
Police say a man and woman were attacked by at least 15 armed individuals Monday night and later forced into a vacant unit in another building of the apartment complex where they were held captive and assaulted for hours.
Now Aurora officials are speaking out about the latest occurrence at the complex, which has gathered international attention for the criminal activities reported there. We have live team coverage tonight. Denver 7's Christian Lopez is speaking with one of the victims, now hospitalized, along with other residents who are now preparing to leave the apartments for good.
Let's begin with Veronica Acosta with the latest on the investigation. Veronica, police are not sugarcoating what happened last night, describing it as torture caused by gang affiliates.
Yeah, that's exactly what they said. Aurora Police Chief Todd Chamberlain did not mince words today. He said these victims were terrorized and tortured, but most importantly, he said he was going to make sure those who did this are held responsible.
The victims were held against their will. They were actually bound. They were pistol whipped. They were beat. They were victimized. They were terrorized.
The troubled Edge of Lowry apartment complex in the spotlight again months after this video. This time after police say 2 people were taken from their unit, moved to another, held against their will by more than a dozen suspects.
I am not going to say that they are TDA, but what I will say is based on the actions that I saw, based upon how this event unfolded, this is 100% gang activity. It's gang activity at Dallas. There are Venezuelans involved.
Aurora Police Chief Todd Chamberlain clear Tuesday morning after detaining 15 people potentially responsible for these crimes.
During this entire process, some of the suspects left that apartment complex at 1268 Dallas and went over to the victim's apartment, which is located at 1258 Dallas, and actually burglarized and took over that apartment and took out items of value that belonged to our victims.
The 2 victims eventually released by the suspects, calling police in the early morning hours to report what had happened to them. Aurora police immediately responding.
They began a systematic search, and they ultimately made contacts with several different apartments, and they ultimately, in one apartment, located about 15 individuals that were inside there.
Now comes the part the chief says is tougher. Identifying the suspects, figuring out if they're in the Tren de Aragua gang. For that, he's using federal partners.
I am using presently Department of Homeland Security. I am using HSI, and I'm also using ICE to help identify.
The brutalization of the 2 victims, something Chief Chamberlain says he will not let go.
It upsets me that somebody was hurt last night. It upsets me that someone couldn't walk out into their parking structure without getting taken and accosted and pulled into an apartment and misused and abused and beat. So am I fired up? Yeah, I'm fired up.
And important to mention, Aurora Police told us these 15 people were detained. That does not mean they were all arrested for these crimes. That'll be determined through the investigation, you guys.
This is all so shocking. And Veronica, this apartment complex has been at the center of controversy for months now. So what is the chief blaming this all on?
He blamed it on a couple of things. He called it a mix of things, actually, saying it was gang activity, a bad management company, and an immigrant community place somewhere he said they shouldn't have been.
There was no real setup as far as who was going to control it, who was going to facilitate rents, who was going to facilitate how these people lived or what they did. And so basically the place fell into complete unmanagement, complete shambles.
And the chief there is saying essentially a small city of immigrants was placed into Aurora. He called it, quote, an example of a system that was fouled from the very beginning. In studio, I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
Veronica, thank you. Denver 7's Christian Lopez is continuing our team coverage for us tonight. She joins us live from the Aurora Police Department.
Christian, you've actually been in contact with one of the victims.
Yeah, we found out one of the victims who was attacked last night is actually a man who we've interviewed at this complex before. I've been speaking with him all day. He's at the hospital. He was too shaken up to talk to us on camera, but he did say that he'll speak when he's ready. We know that both people who were hospitalized are immigrants from Venezuela. I also talked to a tenant who's been at that complex for a few years, and she's now trying to get out as soon as possible. This woman, who has lived at the edge of Lowry Apartments for 2 years, says she doesn't know who to turn to. She says her family just wants to live comfortably, but they haven't been able to because of everything that's happened at their complex. The tenant agreed to speak to us exclusively, but wanted to hide her identity for her protection. She said she was shocked to wake up to the chaotic scene Tuesday morning after several people were detained. All of this happening as she was taking her young daughter to school. She says her family heard some of that commotion overnight. As the building's closure now looms, she says finding a new place hasn't been easy. She tells us her family has applied to a few different complexes, but they've all been denied, and she believes it's because of this building's reputation. Her biggest fear, she tells us, is running out of time and not finding a new home before all of the tenants have to vacate. As you just heard, time is running out for the people who live in that building. As far as how much time they have left, we're not exactly sure. But while we were out there today, we did also see some people who were already packing up their belongings and heading out. Live in Aurora this evening, I'm Christian Lopez, Denver 7.
All right, thank you, Christian. And digging deeper, we are hearing that some tenants have been told they may need to leave in January. And with January being just 2 weeks away, I reached out to House Keys Action Network Denver, or HAND. The housing advocacy group is trying to help tenants move, but say more resources are needed. Is the city helping tenants move out as well alongside HAND?
Absolutely not. They have had zero involvement. We have been asking for support. We've been asking for meetings. We've been very specific in our demands. We are asking for more time, first and foremost, because we're aware that the process of applying, having your application processed and being accepted is something that can take many months.
HAND is also asking for funding to help with moving expenses and deposits at other apartment complexes.
Aurora Mayor Mike Kaufman commending Aurora Police's move to question the more than a dozen people about the home invasion, saying, quote, "We have and will continue to protect members of our community and aggressively pursue anyone who tries to victimize them, no matter who they are or where they come from." Kaufman adding, quote, "Aurora, like every other major city across the country, must tackle crime, especially concentrated pockets of crime, aggressively. But as I have said repeatedly, specific bad actors and problematic properties do not reflect on this city as a whole."
All right, guys, you seen that story. They said they're going to close the apartments down. Don't even matter. Don't even matter, because the riffraff going to go somewhere else pending deportation. If they are going to get, some of them going to get deported. But I'm going to be honest with you. Just seeing that type of stuff being shown in the news of what's really happening over here, it makes me wonder if they even thought about this. They even thought about this, just the overload on the senses of the American people with what's being done. A lot of these folks are coming from places where there's no law and order. A lot of disorder, a lot of chaos. They're bringing it over here. A lot of gang activity and stuff like that. It was an open door policy. They're sending their people over here to set up shop. Because why? They think America's soft. And they think the justice system is soft. And I'm going to be honest with you. As far as the justice system being soft, I kind of agree. See, the thing is this. These people are not as stupid as you think they are. It's easy to get guns over here if you got enough money. You want a black market or other places. And they're sent over here on a mission. And they're succeeding in their mission while the American justice system fails in theirs. I don't give a damn. I would have a no-nonsense policy. As soon as you come over here and show your ass one time, you'll walk your ass right back to that Rio Grande or we'll blast you on the spot. We got enough up to our heads in crime from domestic-born citizens here. And we ain't doing shit about it. Now you add this into it. You cannot tell me America's biggest and brightest thinkers that are in the White House and those that are in charge of making America safe and a productive place. Nobody thought about this. Hey, we open that border, we causing all kind of problems. Never thought about it. The end game in this whole thing, which I still don't know, had to be a hell of a high for them to try to achieve with bringing all of this other negative stuff with it, with the plan to open the borders. Whose fault is this? Who needs to take the heat? Seriously, who needs to take the heat for this? Past or present president? Seriously, because a lot of human beings have been tore up from violent crimes and just stupid stuff, lost their lives because of an executive decision somebody made that's in the White House right now or in government right now, that this was a good idea, that when this whole thing is cleaned up, these people that are gone, being victims of crimes and stuff like that, are not going to be here no more. That don't make it right. This is a bad idea from the jump. I'm done with this shit, man. I'm Stock Market Steve for the Dynamic Reason channel. As always, like, comment, share, and subscribe. I don't care what the government tell you, how much it's going to cost to send some migrant criminals back to wherever they come from. It don't matter. They killed somebody here. Killed somebody here, so you sending them back. They're not even going to jail. You're just freeing them and letting them go somewhere else. What's the justice in that? People that come over here and people that are here right now, you know how I talk on my channel. If you can't get right, we'll get you right. And I don't think the public would have a problem with safe streets and the murder rate going down across the nation. How about you? See you in the next video. Take care.